Hillary Clinton was asked why she gave speeches to Goldman Sachs when she knew she was going to run for president, and her answer is infuriating, but exactly what we'd expect from Hillary Clinton.
Goldman Sachs.
Yeah.
You knew you were going to run for president, or you thought you might, or probably you were thinking about it. You had to be thinking about it as a possibility. Why did you do those? I don't.
Why do you have Goldman Sachs here? Because they pay us. They paid me.
Yeah, no, but there's a.
Look, again, I have.
Let's get serious. I know they paid you, but
yes,
and they paid you a lot.
Yes,
but
yes.
You didn't. You're not somebody who needed that money for the next week's shopping, and you knew you might have run. So why do it?
Well, I gave speeches to many, many groups. I spoke to camp counselors. I spoke to healthcare executives. I spoke to, just a wide range of groups, right? And not just in the United States, but particularly in Canada and a few other places. And I was a senator from New York. I knew these people, and I knew what they did for the economy, and I knew what they did to the economy. Mm-hmm. And I think that, speaking to them, raising questions, which I did in 2008 and 2009, people have no reason to know this, but in the 2008 campaign before the Iowa caucus, I actually ran an ad about the looming mortgage crisis. So I have to say, Walt, I never thought that anybody would throw out my entire career of standing up and speaking out and voting against and voting in favor of what I thought are good policies because I made a couple of speeches. And so when you're the Secretary of State, people want to hear what you talk about. The most common thing that I talked about in all those speeches was the hunt for bin Laden. That was, one of the central missions that I felt on from the time the towers fell on 9/11 as a senator from New York. And to be part of that, to be one of the very few people advising the president on that, that was a fascinating issue. And I thought I could tell that to a lot of different people. And, men got paid for the speeches they made. I got paid for the speeches I made. And it was used, and I thought it was unfairly used and all of that, but it was part of the background music.
That was basically the worst answer possible. It's like if I was creating in a lab the dumbest response, a response that shows zero self-reflection, a response that deflects and obfuscates, a response that is what I would expect of Hillary Clinton. That's the exact answer I would give. So let's walk through it from the top here. Hey, you were thinking of running for president. Why did you take money, $675,000 from Goldman Sachs for a couple speeches? Like, you had to know the optics of that are bad. And she goes, well, why do you guys take money from them? By the way, I have no clue who these Recode people are. I genuinely don't. I don't know if that's weird or not, but whatever. They seem wholly irrelevant to me anyway. And one of them goes, they pay us. They paid us. And she goes, they paid me. And everybody laughs. Oh, yes, good Hillary, Chancellor Hillary. I do say that corruption is hilarious and adorable. Like, you do know why that's a problem, right? When you have somebody who wants to be president taking that much money from Goldman Sachs, what they're doing is they're buying favors. Hey, here's a lot of money for a shitty speech that you're going to give that nobody wants to hear. Nobody's actually interested in what you have to say. It is a preemptive bribe. If/when you become president and we call you, you're going to take that phone call, right? And Goldman Sachs was one of the key players in the subprime mortgage crisis in the Great Recession. They sold to their clients toxic subprime packages that were rated AAA, by the way, because they bought the ratings agencies too. So they pretended like you're going to make a lot of money with these packages. Here, buy these subprime mortgage packages. Then they turn around and bet on those same packages to fail. That's called fraud. And nobody went to jail from Goldman Sachs. In fact, a lot of them are in the White House right now with Donald Trump. They're in top administration positions. So they are, you know how Bernie Sanders says fraud is a business model on Wall Street? That's Goldman Sachs. That's Goldman Sachs. Hillary Clinton took money from a criminal organization, and she expects you to believe, I'm going to be so tough on them even though they gave me $675,000 for like an hour's worth of work. Oh, come on, Hillary. Fucking stop it. Stop it. This is the problem. The rich bought and own our political system. There's no consequences for them. If you're a young kid growing up in the ghetto with no money and you go rob a liquor store to pay for food for your kid, you go to fucking prison for 5 years. But if you crash the world economy and commit fraud, you get to buy politicians and get favors and go to cocktail dinners with them where Hillary Clinton laughs at them. Isn't it so great how the oligarchs run this nation? Oh, yes. Why didn't they vote for me? Why didn't the people vote for me? Oh, God, I can't believe Donald Trump won. When you're the alternative, it's actually not that hard to see how many working people were like, I don't know, she's an insider. I think she's bought and owned by Wall Street. What am I going to do? And she still, no good answer. They paid me. Shouldn't presidents get money from Wall Street? And that's not going to be a problem, right? She really expects you to believe there's no conflict of interest. And she's not going to look out for them when she takes that much money from them. Are you fucking kidding me? If somebody gives you $675,000, how are you going to act towards them, dog? How are you going to act? Hang up the phone. I'm going to get this person in jail for the crimes they committed. You're not going to do that. Nobody's going to do that. Oh my God, she's so terrible. Okay. Then, oh my God, the next dodge. You know, I gave speeches to a lot of people. I gave speeches to camp counselors. You gave speeches to camp counselors. Camp counselors aren't trying to buy our government and bias policy in their direction and rig the economy for them. Big camp counselor isn't a thing. There's big pharma, there's big business, big camp counselor. I mean, these are the big problems in the country. She's saying really stupid things and expecting you to not, see through it. Okay, I gave speeches to Goldman Sachs, but I gave them to camp counselors too. Why aren't you equally mad at camp counselors? This is the same kind of garbage they pulled on Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders gave speeches to, workers. And she's like, I gave a speech to Goldman Sachs. He gave a speech to working people. It's even. It's a wash. What? Okay, then, I didn't think anybody would throw out my career of, voting against Wall Street because I gave some speeches. Voting against Wall Street? Who are you kidding? During the debates, you said, I went down there and I said, cut it out. You want to know why that was your argument in the debates? Because that's your biggest claim to fame against Wall Street. I told them, cut it out. Hey, you better stop it, mister. Are they going to respond to that, Hillary? No, because guess what? Your voting record is actually the opposite. For the bankruptcy bill, you voted in favor of biasing the bankruptcy bills against regular people, the bankruptcy bill against regular people, and for corporations. Your husband signed Glass-Steagall, the repeal of Glass-Steagall, I should say, the Gramm-Leach-Bliley Act. You supported deregulation of Wall Street. Who are you kidding? Who are you kidding? This idea of we're the Clintons and we're really tough on Wall Street? That's utter bullshit. And yes, your record proves otherwise. I didn't know people would throw out my career of serving Wall Street to make the argument I served Wall Street. Yeah, that's the point. You fucking have been serving them all along. They're pretending. But I told them to cut it out. What does that even mean? Oh, God. I ran an ad once that said things that were like, hey, Wall Street's not great. Congratulations. Show me your fucking voting record. And your voting record is abysmal. Okay. Then, what I really talked to them was the hunt for bin Laden. Now you're just lying. Now I know you're just lying. How do I know that? Hillary was under a lot of pressure to release her speeches during the campaign. Remember that? Here's what she would have done if those speeches spoke about bin Laden. Released them. She would have said, what do you mean? You think I'm giving a speech to Goldman Sachs where I'm hinting and winking and nodding that I'm on their side? Well, here's the speech. Read it and weep. It's all about bin Laden. She would have done that like that, son. Immediately she would have done it. But she didn't do it. You want to know why? Because the speeches weren't about bin Laden. We know from other speeches that she's given to big banks and financial institutions that leaked as part of WikiLeaks the things she was saying. So, for example, one of the things she said is there's an environment in America right now of bigotry and intolerance against the rich. There's an oppression of rich people going on right now. I'm not kidding. This is what she said. So this is the stuff that's actually in these kinds of speeches, which is why she didn't want to release them. And which is why when they were released with WikiLeaks, they start screaming, Russia, 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 because they don't want you to see the substance of the leaks, because the leaks paint a very negative picture of her. She says she wants totally free and open trade borders. That's like NAFTA and TPP on steroids and human growth hormone. She said, hey, as a politician, you should have public positions, you should have private positions. So in other words, things you say to the unwashed masses, the peasants, and things you say behind the scenes with your donors, which are the things you really believe. See, these are the things that were in there, which is why she doesn't want you to see them, which is why she's now lying and saying, well, it was a hunt for bin Laden. That's what I was talking about. And then finally, after doing all the other lies and dodges and horrible responses, the worst of the worst and the most cynical, she drops at the end there. It was subtle, but I'm sure a lot of the people in my audience caught it because you're tuned in to the frequency to catch these kinds of things. She said, well, I mean, understand something, guys. Men got paid for these speeches. I got paid for these speeches. In other words, wink and a nod, sexism. That's why people are mad about my Goldman Sachs speeches. All those Bernie bros who are mad about all the Wall Street speeches I gave and the money I took from them, and it's all because I'm a woman. They're sexist. McFeminism, good to see you again. So feminism is feminism. We all know what feminism is. McFeminism is Hillary Clinton's brand of feminism. The feminism that's about as real as the meat in the chicken McNuggets. That's why it's McFeminism. And the idea behind it is I am going to use it as a dodge. I'm going to use it as a get-out-of-jail-free card. Oh, you're against me taking money from Wall Street and doing favors for them? Men do that too. Why are you only against it when I do it? It must be because I'm a woman. And you can stretch this argument in so many ways to the most gross, absurd places. You know, I'm sure they found a way to take her vote for the war in Iraq, which was an absolute crime, which killed minimum 200,000 civilians, which had us occupy a country that didn't attack us. I'm sure they spin it, you keep talking about Hillary doing it, but you're not talking about other politicians doing it. Why are you focusing disproportionately on her? Could it be because she's a woman and you're a sexist? That's what that is. It is, and by the way, it's so cynical and so grotesque because what she's doing is damaging real instances of sexism, where when somebody's actually being sexist against a woman, now everybody rolls their eyes because it's the boy who cried wolf. You can go, yeah, sure, this is sexist, just like it was sexist when Hillary Clinton took money from Goldman Sachs and people said they didn't like it. So she's doing damage to every liberal principle and priority and progressive principle and priority that you could possibly imagine. But that's all they have. She has tricks. That's all she has. Identity politics. Pull that out when I'm in the corner, you know? You must be sexist. By the way, yeah, all of them are so sexist, which is why many of them went on to vote for Jill Stein. It's not that they don't want to vote for a woman. It's that they don't want to vote for you for understandable reasons, and you're giving them 1,000,001 reasons more here.